Thank you for joining us for our first session of Inside the Rehearsal Zoom with Jessica Francis Jukes and Heather Alicia Sims. Inside the Rehearsal Zoom is a new conversation series in partnership with the Signature Theater to have a discussion about the ins and outs of the production process, collaboration, and what it takes to bring a play to life. So thank you for being here today. Today, we are also joined by these two illustrious women, and I do want to just introduce them to you all so that way you can get an idea of who they are in case you don't know yet. So Jessica Francis Jukes, right here, is an Obie Award winning actress. She is, you may have seen her, excuse me, at the Signature Theater's production of By the Way, Meet Vera Stark. And in addition to the theater, you may have also seen her in Netflix's Ozark, Marvel's Jessica Jones, and NCIS, to name a few. Heather Alicia Sims is an Obie Award-winning actress as well, and she's also graced the Signature Theater stage in productions of By the Way, Meet Vera Stark and Fabulation, or The Re-Education of Undine. You may have also seen her in Broad City, HBO's Random Acts of Flyness, and Marvel's Luke Cage. So let's get into it. Let's talk about By the Way, Meet Vera Stark, written by Lynn Nottage, directed by Camilla Forbes. We're here. It is the first day of rehearsal, not even the first day of rehearsal. You get the script, right? You get the script. From page to stage, when you first see a character, where do you begin? Where does your individual process look like when you're approaching a character for the first time?
You want to go first, Kathy?
No, you go ahead.
I think for me, the first thing I do, I have to know the world. Like, what is the world? Before I even know character, before I even know how I feel about anything, I need to know what the world is, in this case, that Lynn created, and what the world is that she is creating from. So I watched nonstop 1930s films and, you know, all these actresses that this play was representing. I dove into that world first. So that's the first thing I do.
So, yes, when I was in undergrad, I was a history and English major. So it's all research for me. And one of the great things about our process, and I don't know if I'm skipping ahead too far, but one of the great things about our process was Camilla had all of this research. And so I love table work.
Yeah.
You remember we sat at that table forever. And I love that. Huh?
Back to it.
And went back to it. We went back to it. And I was like, you know what? Only a confident director can do that. Can say, you know what? We're gonna sit at this table this long. We're gonna get up on our feet and then we're gonna sit down again. You know, because for me, I have to know something about the world. Like what Jessica was saying, you know, I have to know about the world. I have to be in the world, but also understanding how my fellow actors view the world as well. And so that kind of conversation, that back and forth is food, it's fuel for me in my process. And so it almost makes me feel like I don't have to work as hard, you know, as someone who just throws you in and says, hey, let's just get up on our feet. That's when I always feel a little bit like, okay,
yeah,
what do I have to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, the research, and there was a podcast that I listened to.
Yes.
That what was it called? The Black Light, the Ghost Light, it's something. It was this woman who was talking about all of these Black actresses of that time and what their struggle. And their struggle mirrored what Lynn was talking about in this play. And it was, I loved this process.
Epic, it was epic.
I want to talk more about the process of table work, then we got up on our feet, then back to table work. What was it that brought you all back to the table?
One of the things that I love about Cam, I call her Cam sometimes, so you might hear Cam, you might hear Camilla, but she is such an investigator of the work, and it's not just about product and putting up this image. She's more so let's dig in together and figure out what we're trying to say here. What are we talking about? And what are we representing? So there would be moments where we'd be rehearsing a scene and she'd be like, you know what, I want us to watch this clip from this 1970s TV interview show, and I want us to watch a couple of these, and this is what and we would watch, you know, like Red Skelton or whatever it was, and Ed Harris, I can't remember who the show was, but it was some famous, you know, TV show where all these stars came on, and we would sit there and we would talk about it. We would talk about how we felt about it. We would talk about how the characters fit within that world. So it was almost like these check-ins. And then almost before every scene, she would sit down and go, okay, let's just read through it. Let's just talk through it. Like, I never felt rushed. I never felt like we were on a time clock. It was kind of like, let's build this thing. Let's build this thing together. And she just leaned in, and it made us lean in, and it was just.
And it also helps with your process. And well, I'll just speak for myself. It helps with my process in terms of just even learning the lines, because when you really understand the world, and it's a well-crafted world, right? So the lines seem like they're second nature. They just come naturally in a way that they wouldn't necessarily be harder. Again, it would be work if we didn't have that process undergirding us and lifting us up, because we had a wall, you know, because Goldie, Patrick was like, oh yes, we have this wall. We had so much support in this process. We could just put things up that inspired us, and they would put things on the wall that was useful, that they thought was useful for the process. And Goldie was the assistant director, and she just took it on in a way that, you know, sometimes, and it depends on, I guess, who you're working with as a director. Sometimes you feel like you don't get to know the real personality of the assistant director, you know, and what they might bring to the table. But I think it is a testament to who Cam is in terms of her own, how she wants to give other people agency over their own careers and give them a voice. That I was just like, okay, yeah, it felt very familial.
Right. And she also gave us, it was a space in which everybody, you never felt like there's a totem pole. Like, sorry, y'all gonna see the dog. Sorry. But you never felt like there was a totem pole. Like, you are the director, therefore I can't, you know, challenge your thoughts or what you feel about certain things. Like, it was a back and forth. And even with Goldie, like being the assistant director, there were times when Goldie would take over, and there were times, it was just a room full of smart people, and Cam knew that. And what I loved about it was she cast perfectly. So there were moments where, like, it was just a free-for-all of just people going, well, what about this? And what about that? What about this? And it was just like, yeah. And then she would be very clear when it was like, no. But it's just, it was that type of room. And those types of rooms, it's limitless. You can just go. And that's what that room felt like.
Oh, okay, let's get into our first video poll.
What's that you got there?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing. You got something there, but what is it?
Just a script.
A script. What for?
It's Southern epic. Nothing. You know, Gloria's testing for the lead. It's nothing.
A Southern epic.
Yep.
And just why are you so keen on it?
A Southern epic. Magnolias and petticoats. You know what else that means? Cotton and slaves.
Slaves? We're blind?
Slaves with eyes, honey.
Yeah? Is he applying it for me? Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Hello, Pharaoh, let my people go.
You can put away the big voices, now musical.
I try not to think. I bet you that's what those gals was whispering about down at the market. Sneaky little wenches. I know they was up to something. A Southern epic. So talk to me, honey.
Well, it's the story of a beautiful octoroon who falls hopelessly in love with a white merchant, and she contracts scarlet fever.
Of course.
And she's dying. But must alas pretend not to love the merchant in a selfless attempt to shield him from the truth about her race.
Poor little thing. So why are you so keen on it?
Well, not a lot of people know this because they're keeping it real hush-hush, but there's a big role in it for a lady's maid, Tilly. A real good honest to God part.
So why don't you get that white hussy of yours to put a word in for you?
Well, it ain't worth the trouble.
If it was up to me.
Well, it ain't.
Well, don't get all bent out of shape. How come I ain't heard nothing about it till now?
I thought you'd given up acting.
Nonsense. Acting gave up on me.
Well, hell, folks been lined up at Charles Beach's casting since last week. I swear it. I've been trying to get an audition for days, but he won't see me. He still thinks 'twas me that spread that rumor about him and Batman.
Well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So what? He had it coming.
You ain't kidding. Beecher don't send you out on nothing unless you give him a blowjob and $25. And I ain't giving that jackass $25 to do the same thing he's doing for me right now. A whole lot of nothing.
You better give him that $25.
So he can buy his mistress another pair of alligator shoes? No, thank you.
Well, honey, there is work to be had. W-O-R-K, you hear what I'm saying? Work! Every tap dancer fool and two-bit hustle been talking about it. Wake up, honey.
Yeah, I believe it when I see it. How many times have I heard that damn refrain?
And turn up your nose all you want, but I'll put it like this. A couple of Negroes actually get to say something other than yes or no.
Really? You're lying. You count the lines.
What you think? And y'all tired of counting.
Get out of here.
And Gloria says they want to make a discovery.
Go back.
Love it. Love it. So Vera says, I thought you gave up on acting, to which Lottie replies, acting gave up on me. Have there been moments in your career where you couldn't quite see the vision anymore? And if so, how did you get through it?
No, I can honestly, have I ever felt like I was going to give up on it?
Yeah. Have there been moments?
I am a big ass dreamer, and I've had moments where there were 3 peaches in the fridge and I knew that job was coming tomorrow. I think I have to check myself sometimes around my friends because I'm toxically positive. I can be toxically positive because in order for my brain to move forward, and, you know, we all have our tricks. We all have our tricks that we have to stay sane or whatever it is, but mine is, it's coming, and just keep on working and work on that project since you don't have that project, and work on this and work on that, and just, I've never wanted to do anything else. So I feel like in my brain, I'm like, it's not gonna fail me because I know I was born for it. So that's kind of how I look at what we do.
That's like the process of manifestation as well. You know, when you believe it so deeply, the entire universe will conspire to create that reality.
Yeah.
Right?
I also feel like, you know, I will also say that I will always say that I've never been forsaken. Mm-hmm. Even when jobs come to me and then something crazy happens, and I've had some crazy stuff happen, but that'll be in my book.
All right.
But when I've had crazy things happen, it was like, that was the hedge of protection that I needed, you know, to move forward. It was a hedge of protection because even right before, I mean, I will say this, I was offered something right before Vera Stark, and then, you know, my mom passed away, and that's a huge, you know, she was, you know, your mother's your first friend. And so I was like, oh. And the thing that I thought that I had went away. And then David Caporelli-Otis, got it out. Like, David asked me to come in for Vera, for Fabulation. And I was like, nah, I don't feel like it, boo-hoo, woo-hoo. And I was also, they asked me to come in for the grandma. I was like, I'm not there yet, you know? And so he was like, nah, come on in. I was like, you know, getting salty and everything else. So I was just like, all right, well, shoot, I need something to do right now because you know, I was sad. And it was a blessing. It was a blessing that that other thing was taken away. This came, and I was able to do a comedy because I needed laughter in my life in that moment. And then in the process of doing that, Vera Stark came along, and I was just like, look at God, you know? And so I have never, ever, ever, even when things have been taken away, it was because that wasn't for me.
So what's the educational text that you think every actor should have in their toolbox?
For me, it's been my business books. I know that sounds crazy, but the craft, of course, there's so many wonderful books about the craft, and there's so many wonderful, you know, examples of technique and this and that. But for me, the business books are the best. I don't know if I have one specifically that I would say get, but Marketing for the Actor was an old school one that changed my life. But any book that has to do with how to walk through this industry as a walking business, as a CEO of your body company, those are my favorite books.
For me, I think, you know, it's changed. I have like that old school Black Theater USA on my bookshelf, just staring at me, Hatch and Shine. But I think anything that feeds you, you know, like I was in love with Langston Hughes when I was a child, you know, and I still am. But I think anything that feeds you, anything that you can go to when you're feeling like you're lacking or something, you know. And so Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, and also Louise Bennett. She is an artist from Jamaica. So those are the things that I look to and I read when I'm like, you know what? I want a taste of something, because I don't always want to sit down and read a play. You know, that's just me. But you know, a poem, maybe an essay, I'm like, okay, I can do that in this moment. And it's good. It's good for me. It's good for what I need. But what Jess is talking about in terms of the business, yeah, you gotta know your business. You have to. I also teach. I teach at NYU, and one of the things that I have my students do in this particular class is do a 5-year plan. You know, and I remember that was something that was asked of me when I was in undergrad, and I was like, how does an actor make a 5-year plan? Well, it's not that it's full of our hopes and our dreams and a roadmap, and it will point you to the things where you will say, yeah, or, oh, no, I'm not doing that, you know? And so the 5-year plan is full of dreams, but it is a business plan.
And it's also like, it's like you can play connect the dots, you know, if you have your goals set, you know, and they can be lofty goals, they can be huge. And then you say, okay, if that's my goal, then these are the 5 steps it takes to get there. If you're at least at one or working on one of those steps, you know what I mean, you're on the path. And I think even in those moments when we're not in a show and we're not working on something, those are the moments when the business side of it comes in handy, because it's just like how to continue to be a student, to be a business, how to continue to be in the mix of the community, the industry, all of it together. It's like, if you have a good blueprint, you can easily say no to the things that are not for you. You can easily, you know, turn down the things that are just work and say yes to the things that are going to get you to that next platform, that next platform, that next platform. Because at the end of the day, you know, for me, I want to be a CEO. I mean, I want to run shit, and I need to know how to do that. So I study all the models, and every time you get to a platform, you go, okay, what are the next sort of bars or goals or whatever. So for me, the business side of it is really, really important in order for me to do the fun side of it.
Yeah, because the other thing is we have to also plan to just live a life, and our lives can't just be, you know, our work, our careers, you know, we have to consider our families, our self-care, you know, throw in when you want to go on a vacation and let that be a non-negotiable, because too often we're like, oh, you know, it's pilot season. Oh, now it's, you know, they've cast all the pilots. Now they're casting all the plays. Okay. And now, you know, I'm looking forward to this thing. My best moments have been when I've said no. Like, no, I can't, no, I can't do that. One of the last TV shows that I booked, I was home. I was, you know, with my family in Jamaica, and I was just like, I'm not gonna try and figure out how to get Wi-Fi up in this country. I can't do it. I'm not. So I said to my manager, no, I you know, thank you. And they came back and said, hey, so will she just do it? And I was like, oh, okay. Look at the power of no, you know? But I think it was not just, you know, no. I think it was also honoring my commitment to myself and my family and saying, you know what, this and they are important to me. So I need to do that right now.
Thank you again so much.
Renee, thank you. You are a wonderful host.
Thank you.
So much.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go walk the dog. Thank y'all.